Today we will have an interesting and constructive conversation with two amazing leaders, Edvard König, the founder of EK, and Matjaž Krč, the CEO of EK. Hello guys.
Hi Maya.
The coronavirus pandemic is testing leaders in every sector. Challenges could persist for longer than anyone expects. This uncertainty is a reason for companies to embrace changes and adapt. No one, not even leaders, have the answers right now. There is no script for COVID-19. Every single company in the world needed to adapt and implement big changes to be able to survive and to prosper in these uncertain times. EK is one of the companies that show best practices. We did not stop to work, not even for a day. The company grows and exceeds goals. The employees are happy and healthy, and we trust the company and our leaders. And what is utmost important, we feel safe. How was it possible to maintain excellent collaboration and also communication between the teams? And what was the recipe when there is no recipe in these uncertain times? You both, as leaders, have probably never experienced anything like COVID-19 crisis before. There is no script for dealing with such crisis, and it is very far-reaching and very unpredictable. The only way to respond effectively is to decide what actions to take as the situation unfolds. So what were the first important decisions that you needed to take almost instantly?
So first thing we have to say that this didn't just happen momentarily, like an earthquake. Some of our team members were in China in mid-January and it looked ominous. We detected that as a threat and we started to monitor situation on a daily basis, and it was going south.
Well, it had all the signs to just blow up in our faces. So I called the Red meeting, decided to make a crisis management body where all staff members are in. In 1 week, situation really deteriorated so much that basically because we are bordering to Italy and there was really this problem, big problem, we decided to be proactive and ordered work from home. It was for me very easy. It was approximately also 3 weeks before official proclamation of epidemics in Slovenia. So we were first, and that has two sides. The good one is actually that we have time to actually think and we have time to act normally. But on the other hand, everybody was looking at us, what are you doing? So, but at the end, I think it was good. So what was the catch? Well, basically, we had chaos. And you always have to make order from chaos. We issued guidelines how to combat mentally and physically the threat of the COVID-19. And that's about it. You make order from chaos.
Most important is the health of employees. EK sees the health of employees as top priority. We know that already. EK was the first company in Slovenia that implemented working from home for almost all employees to ensure our safety. What have been the biggest challenges that you had with sending all the employees home almost instantly?
So the first challenge was technology, but since many of us was already working from home, at least occasionally, it took us only 3 days for our IT guys to prepare everything that we could all work from home. So I think this is really excellent. So then there was a deeper challenge. Working from home totally changes how we communicate, how we meet. This took us around three weeks to figure out, to put structure into the daily pace so we could all be masters of our time. The third challenge was the physical distance. People are social beings, we are social beings, and we need to socialize. We are looking into ways how to connect with people. So we found them, and all I can say is that we are now more connected than ever.
One part of employees could not work from home. What kind of precautions did you implement for them?
Yeah, well, so in order to survive, we have to produce. So otherwise we go. We looked together how to make workplaces safe. This was the first thing, and it is always the most important thing. So we sent as much people as possible at home. So there was, of course, people from the staff which can do the work from home, but also some people from production they could do some production assembly from home. And we spread them across the company to dilute density because, we have to have the difference, the social distance. And we gave them masks, of course, and getting masks was a sub-project like in the movie, almost science fiction movie, Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
And then also disinfectant with hand sanitizer, that was not such a problem. Looking to it now, it looks pretty straightforward, but back then guidelines and TIFO changed from the sides of authorities almost every day, almost every hour, so it was quite a chaos.
While different challenges require different responses, and even though the current climate is new to all of us, have you found it useful to draw on your years of experience to identify some practices that can help?
Well, our company is very agile with the growth mindset, and making changes in such a company is pretty easy. As long as people understand and there is value added to it. And we in the company, we are organized like a team of teams, and people are empowered and they just have to know the goal. And then they go and they make it happen. And they act pretty independently as in team of teams. And the whole company moves way faster because of this in any situation, not only in crisis. And this is it from my side.
Yeah, well, we also encourage people to be proactive, and also it helped us to change from normal mode to the COVID mode, and because of that it was pretty smooth. It's a bit of unbelievable to say, but it really felt just as another challenge in the daily operations of EK.
In crisis, people's minds turn first to their most basic needs. Will I be sickened or hurt? Will my family be hurt? Will I be safe? What happens then? Who will take care of us? And you as leaders have acknowledged that workers and their loved ones may face difficulties. You took visible measures to support them. What exactly have you done?
Well, you have to look at this first theoretically and philosophically. It is a basic situation when you look to unknown danger. And so there is a fear, and it is in the instinct of every human that we should run. But we cannot run. We cannot run from COVID. So you have to diffuse the fear and implement trust and hope. We needed to communicate with people so that the people understand it. We have to frame that fear so that, again, chaos becomes something which you can cope with. So we started to communicate and with weekly meetings with all employees in teams. And it was okay. And I think we will keep these weekly meetings on because it was so good. It was monthly before, now it's weekly. Even if we didn't have something to say, there is opportunity for questions and people really appreciate it. At the end, it is also good fun. You know, at the middle of the crisis, people were cracking jokes there on Teams. So I think also our morale is quite high. And also, it's very good to work in positive environment. So also issuing guidelines helped how to make yourself a better man, have better immune system, because at the end of it, or the start of it, it is about the immune system. And this is the best way to cope with anything. So we went pretty much back to the basics, and this is a very good point. We will start very soon a program of mental, physical workouts. So this is not just a moment. We will implement all we have learned. Also in the future, it will become a long-term value to it. Also, when we started, we strictly ordered to go and buy groceries as soon as possible because we forecasted there will be problems. Panic, lack of basic stuff like toilet paper. Yeah, I mean, it kind of happened.
Looking back, I think that the most important part was that we as a company have a purpose. We were just before the major launches of few new product lines. We were developing that for 2 years. We were prepared, but we had to back off because of the COVID. We switched our intentions to address strategic issues in the companies. We had time and we addressed it. Consequently, we were doing that on top of our normal time, so we put really much hours into it. But it was a purpose that guided us, so we didn't even have time to think about all the negative possibilities. On top of it, we had to shift our biggest event, Computex, to our first virtual event. It was that simple. Keep your mind occupied with positive purpose.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for that answer. In a crisis filled with unknowns and surprises, you have no extra time to wait for all the facts to become clear before deciding what to do. You can also not rely on intuition alone. You must learn as much information as possible and make choices in near real time without overreacting. So where did you get all the information from to make these great decisions?
Well, that one is pretty easy. As soon as we detected the threat, we started to search the internet. We connected to our business partners to have an understanding of the situation on the ground. Situation awareness is probably the most important thing in these cases.
Okay, thank you. Could you please point out the best practices that helped you lead your organization through this unsettled time?
Actually, I didn't hear anything negative. I just saw big eyes, as this was a bit unprecedented. So somehow you also feel safer together in a company. So this was the struggle that I think people had. But then when they settle in about a week, and also they get groceries on time, it was just a positive. They were prepared for the worst.
Yeah, I can still remember how I was shopping and no one was in panic and I was just, like walking and buying all the stuff possible. So thank you for that. Yeah, it was on time.
I remember going to the store and I saw one lady with a scarf talking, Mom, did you hear? They found one case in Slovenia. That was that. Yeah.
That was in that time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can still remember I called my parents and I said, my company said I need some basic stuff at home. Please go and buy now. So yeah.
So we try to be transparent as possible and communicate with people. This is actually also normally, just in COVID, it is more intensive, much more intensive, and also we will stay that way because we see so much good coming out from it. If people know what is going on and what actions we will take to address this, it is much easier for everybody, to make it happen, and also really for people that they can focus on the common goal.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So could you please point out the best practices that helped you lead your organizations and your team of leaders through this unsettled time?
Well, it was basic crisis management, assess situation, think about scenarios, sources you need, and then they take proactive actions. Leaders, sometimes they have to take some tough decisions, and it was tough as we were first ones to do that psychologically. You don't know if you're right or wrong. It didn't look from Slovenian perspective that it will blow off, so having a lot of mileages I have really helps to be calm.
Yeah, so going with the gut feeling looks right, but can be deceptive. So we use as much information as possible for our decision making. I often say that if we have the information, don't go for the feelings. So there's no place for the feelings in this kind of situation, so you just have to put that aside and focus on the goal.
For you as leaders, it's important to out for yourself too. As stress and fatigue build up during crisis, you probably have had more trouble processing information, remaining high-level headed, and exercising good judgment. How did your daily routine change, and in what way did you invest in yourself and in your well-being? And how did you release stress and recharge your batteries?
Well, for me, I knew that I have to change everything. Also, I had plans even before that I should start something. So basically, I went full battle mode. I changed my daily routine totally. So it is now half of an hour of physical training in the morning, then 1 hour walk in the midday, and then 1 hour of training in the evening. And at the end of all of it, it's also meditation. Beside that, I also define supplements I have to take to make my immune system as strong as possible. And when I had settled all that, I took turn to look at the company and what we should do. So together we defined goals. First it was daily goals, then as we see it works, it was weekly. And now we look to the future with the spark in our eyes.
Great.
So doing all that, now I have more energy than ever. I really like this time. It had changed my daily routines. And probably I will look at it also in the future as one of the best time in my life.
I can say I got stuck in my apartment during the quarantine for a couple of days in a row. So, but then again, my weekends were completely off. I believe what helped me mentally was the time spent with my 6 and 4 years old daughters. We were playing board games, we were playing Lego bricks and assembling puzzle. I will also remember quarantine times for that.
So that's a precious time, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So the productivity and motivation of people is high, the company grows, and EK exceeds all the goals set. The connection, collaboration, and trust between us employees in this time are amazing. Was it like this from the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak?
Yes, everything was there. We did nothing new. We just nurtured what we had already.
Well, you know, the crises always connect people. And the difference is only if you are doing a good job, then it connects them even more. And this connection lasts. And I think that in our company, these connections, are now on much deeper level, they will last.
In routine emergencies, executives can direct a predefined response. But in a fast-changing situation, like the COVID-19 outbreak, it is not easy to collect information or to make decisions quickly enough to respond effectively. What is the secret of your instant response, and where did you get the relevant information from?
EK is a fast-growing company, and there is almost nothing like a routine emergencies. So we have to reinvent the company approximately every 2 years or so. So we are always in fast-changing situation.
Well, from my side, I have 7 years of experience as turnaround manager under my belt. I also did some pretty hair-raising projects as my hobby, and altogether it is pretty much business as usual for me. Of course, it could also go wrong, but all in all, there is a bit of serendipity in all of that. So we basically invested a lot of time during the COVID crisis. But because of that, because of our efforts, we also had some luck. So that's it.
Okay. And now let's talk about teamwork. EK has a strong network of teams that share a purpose to collaborate efficiently across groups. Have you extra trained your leaders for that kind of collaboration and efficiency? And what advice would you give other businesses on working productively at this time?
Well, I really don't think I trained them, or we trained them. We discussed that a few times, what to do, how to do, and then they are on their own. You have to understand that in Slovenia, people have to be very resourceful. So it is easier to implement the idea of team of teams. It's really easy.
In a crisis, the best decision makers need to display specific qualities. They need the ability to detach from a fraud situation and think about it clearly and have the confidence tempered with realism. What qualities have you seen prosper in your teams of leaders? Personal qualities.
Productivity, positiveness, respect, dialogue, and of course at the end, execution.
How has COVID-19 situation impacted the way you work with your leaders and also broader teams? Are the bonds closer, and are the leaders more approachable now?
The answer is yes to all. I very much think so.
from my side, I think that we were always approachable. I think from the start we have a policy of open doors. So maybe what changes is actually that people actually now are connecting more than they were. But we are approachable. Anybody can come to us.
And knock on your doors and say,
Yes.
hello, hello, I need
Yes.
Okay. So as leaders, your job is also to set clear priorities and empower those teams to shape the company's best response. What were the first priorities you set for the time of COVID-19 crisis?
Okay, so you know, first is always the safety of the people. But safety, it means two things. It is physical safety, and then there's economic safety. And these two things could contradict a bit. So we first took highest physical safety measures, and then we addressed also economic safety to find a way not to stop production. Every stop would drain our reserves, and that it would take longer to go back on track. But for that, the whole team had to work extra hard. And they did. And for that, we are now actually in a better place than before the COVID crisis.
And it was worth it very much. So we exceeded our COVID plans by far.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Due to social distancing and working from home, meetings went to new dimensions. The way teams communicate now changed immensely almost overnight. Which technologies and which platforms are the EK teams using now? Was it hard to implement the new way of everyday work?
Yes, we were experimenting with few platforms in the past and nothing seemed to stick. But now we are in position that we had to make it happen. So we decided to go with Microsoft Teams, that Matjaž already mentioned before, and we are very satisfied. We are now organizing one-on-one meetings, group meetings, and weekly company meetings with approximately 110 people. Everything looks great, everything works great, and we're kind of used to it. So we will have to think how to go back to our normal operations.
Frequent communication with us showed that you are following the situation closely. You both addressed employees' concerns and also questions frequently, even if you didn't have the significant update to share. That maintained the trust and the feeling of safety for all of us. Do you have any thoughts to share or any advice to give to other leaders how to communicate with their teams?
Well, from my side, you have to be very transparent about what you want to do. And you have to explain why you are doing something. People are smart, and our people are very smart, of course. And if they understand the logic behind, they will follow. We allocated more time to discuss with people so that they really understand what's going on and what we want to do. And we reiterated important things. As in all of that noise, sometimes people miss important things.
And it's also the quality of good leaders to repeat things as much times as needed.
Every unexpected situation is also the opportunity to learn, to improve, to prosper, also then in the future. What do you see as a positive outcome of this difficult situation? Did your vision and plans for the future EK change in any way? How will the future business look like after Corona time? And do you have any suggestions for other companies how they should adapt and prepare for after Corona time? What opportunities can companies take to improve the way they work right now?
From the start, Matjaž and me were saying that we have the best team. And I think that every day we see that this is so true. COVID experience made us more connected and more bonded. I think because of that we can achieve more. So our future plans can be even more daring. So of course we see that people like to work from home. And we already said that if they want to work from home, it's okay, as long as the job is done.
Let's hope that we never again will have to adapt so quickly to such stressful situation. But still, what would you do different if you had, let's say, second chance?
Well, from my side, I would not change a lot. We are just putting in emergency process with some redundancy because now it was more from the top of my head than anything else. But we can also plan the unplanned, and that's it.
So Americans are not interested in going back to work. At least they are not necessarily excited about going back to work in an office. According to the survey, 54% of Americans want to keep remote work as their primary mode of work, and 70% say that they would like it at least to be an option. So how is it going to be in UK?
Well, I think on the long run, we should go for something in between, like doing 2 to 3 days from home per week. I think that there are some benefits if you stay at home and work, but also there are benefits if we are together in office. So we still need communication, even if it looks it's more productive at home. This is a short-term game. On the long term, I think it would go down. So you need some close proximity, interaction, and socializing, all that, because we are social beings.
Have the values of EK stood up the test of COVID-19 situation?
Yes, very good question. I think it was like a stress test to us. I heard that some CEOs had to make tough decisions and go against their values of the companies. All of our values are still there, unchanged. They were like a beacon at this time, and we stood by them. And we won together, and this is one of our values, win together.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time and such great answers. I very much appreciated the opportunity to talk to you guys, and let's hope we do not face another unexpected challenge soon.
Yes, let's hope. Thank you to Maja.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.